Welcome to the Fix My Insurance Agency podcast. Each podcast will share the conversations, best practices, experiences, and influences that have generated over $1 billion in insurance premium. So sit back and let us help you fix your insurance agency. Hey everybody, this is Billy Williams with the Fix My Insurance Agency podcast. Very honored that you would spend time with us today. I'm also honored to have Ken Wohl. Am I saying it right? Is it Wall or Wool?
Wool.
Wool, okay, from Indio, and he's going to be on today. I'm going to ask him some questions. I like to jump right in, Ken, not waste their time. So Tell me about Indio. Tell me about what problem you solve for insurance agents.
So at the highest level, simplest way of saying it is we focus on improving inefficiencies for an insurance brokerage and agency, as well as improving the customer experience. But that's kind of vague. So in regards to what specifically and how specifically we're doing that, we focus on the application and renewal process, the data capture process that takes place between a broker and their insured. And so that takes place, as we know, yearly. Either it could be a new business or it could be during the renewal process. There's that engagement that has to take place between the insured and the brokerage. So we call Indio a system of engagement. It helps collect that information digitally in a standardized format. It provides a TurboTax-like experience for your insured so that when they log in and they fill it out, they can do it from a tablet, from a computer, from anywhere at any time of day. And there's a bunch of collaborative tools built within that, maybe we can talk about shortly. And then it, as a result of collecting this information digitally and in a standardized format, the byproduct is it creates a lot of efficiency gains for the back office at an agency.
Wow. I'm not a very smart guy, so you got, that's a lot of big talk, a lot of big words for me. So at the end of the day, me as an agent, my customer, I can gather the data that I need to help with their new applications, their renewals, and all of that through your tool. And from what I understand, and from working with my agents that use you, the real issue is I don't have to duplicate or triplicate work. I can get it in one form and it'll flow to a bunch of other forms without me having to worry about it.
Yeah, that's one of the key core solutions, right? I would say that when a broker or an agent or the agency comes on board with Indio, we see different kinds of aha moments is what we like to call it, where they're using it and they say, aha, right? This is where my ROI is, or this is why this tool exists and why so many brokers are happy using it. And I would say that's one of the core aha moments in that. If you'd like, Billy, I can give you an example or scenario to kind of paint
Absolutely.
Yeah, sure. So let's say you're working with a renewal, and typically with your insured, you're going to have to contact them. We see many times an average is 120 days out, but when you start getting to real big mid-market companies, you can see north of that. So you're starting this renewal process, and you need to collect and verify the information that you're going to go to market with. You need to make sure that it's up to date, it's verified. You don't want them to be underinsured or overinsured. And so you do that by having to get a bunch of different supplemental applications and different insurance forms completed that captures that information. So what Indio has done is we have digitized that data capture process. And so we've taken thousands, I think we're about 8,000 and growing different insurance forms, which we built into a form library that a broker has access to. And it has all the different forms that you need in there. And then you would select the ones that you need to collect information from your insured to go to market. And then you would get that out. Indio lives as a white labeled portal. So it would be branded to your broker and agency. And you would send a link out to your insured, highly encrypted, bank grade security. Or maybe you still meet with them in person and you pull it up on a tablet. And then you answer the questions in a digital manner. We call it a TurboTax-like experience. And there's things that you can do as a broker and agent to customize those forms so they are simpler and easier for your insured to complete, and faster. Make it easier and faster for them to get the information to you. And what you were speaking of, Billy, is because the information is now being collected digitally in a digital format, the data is standardized. So as you all know, that many of these forms ask the same questions. And so if you're filling them out by hand or on a PDF, you're filling out the same questions or the same answers over and over again. What Indio has done is we map all of those questions. So let's say you're filling out a traveler's D&O application, and 30% of those questions that are asked on that application form are asked also on an E&O application. Okay. Those will map over. So by the time you get into your E&O application and form, the information is already there, and it's going to completely remove the redundancy of that work. And then the last point I would make is because the information is collected digitally, it's stored. And so when the renewal time comes up the next year, you're never filling things out from scratch again, whether it's the broker pre-filling or the insured having to, fill everything out from scratch again. All the information is there. So now you're just quickly going through verifying what stayed the same and then editing what's changed. And then we've built an e-signature solution. So when you're done in one full swoop, you can sign it, submit it, get sent back, you're notified by email, and then it all gets mapped back to the original carrier PDF. So when you need to go to market, it's all still living in the form that the carrier and your underwriter requires you to send them.
Wow. Okay, so you just did a lot of work for us. You cut out 20, 30, 40% of the work that we normally would have to do to prepare for a renewal, especially a big commercial renewal.
Absolutely. I mean, this is definitely, we definitely have a lot of brokers and agencies using it on the personal lines because there are areas of inefficiencies we can help with. I mean, even as simply as the e-signature tool is a huge tool on the personal lines. But on the commercial lines, when you have complex risk, complex businesses, a large volume of data capture, a large volume of policies, that's when it really, really starts to add up in terms of time savings, allowing your team to allocate their time towards activities that lead to growth rather than maintenance. And then, of course, that customer experience. I mean, to walk into a room and differentiate your brokerage from another because your insured now can log in anywhere and get things completed online, or you can sit with them on a tablet. That experience is what they're accustomed to now in all aspects of business and personal lives. And now you're kind of leveling the insurance game up to where the rest of the world has gotten to over the last couple of years.
Got you. So what was the inspiration behind Indio? Why did someone even start building this company?
Right. So Michael Furlong, who's our CEO and co-founder, a couple of years back, he's a serial entrepreneur, and through that process as a business owner, became very familiar with the insurance renewal process. And so as going through that process, someone who has built technology companies, he didn't understand why, as a customer, he was forced to fill everything out by PDF or paper and do the same thing over and over again. Even when information hadn't even changed year over year, he was still forced to fill out the same information every single year. And it was a frustration. He's trying to build a business, not figure out how to complete insurance applications and forms. And so as he was looking to, a new venture, he started really digging into the insurance space and understanding, why is this inefficiency exist? And I think all of us know, what it's all rooted in, but that was kind of the genesis of, okay, well, how can we find a solution for it without displacing the broker, but instead empowering them with the tool? And how can we make everyone's life in the value chain easier and better?
Excellent. That's the best tool, when someone creates it because they were irritated by a situation. I've learned that the ones that, all the best things were created because somebody got pissed off and was like, there's got to be a better way to do this. So
It is, and I'm an entrepreneur as well. I've owned businesses before, so when I came on board to lead marketing at Indio, and Mike, and I were sitting down and going over the solution. It was early on. I felt the pain, right? And so I instantly feel the pain. He felt it enough to start the company, and then as you start talking to other insureds, they feel the pain. And so the question is, well, how can you improve the experience for the insured by building tools for the broker and agent? And that also maintains the broker and agent's place in the value chain, which we are big believers on, and obviously have invested in.
good. Well, going back to our conversation here about getting pissed off, you guys are participating in the Fix My Insurance Agency workshops as a solution provider, which thank you so much for that. I'm honored to have you guys there to really work with the agents. But the whole purpose or the whole reason I created the Fix My Insurance Agency workshop is because I got pissed off because I was going to all of these conferences and all of these, what I call paper bag and plastic bag conferences, where everybody's just walking around with a plastic bag, but then they get back to their agency and nobody does anything. So I said, you know what? I'm so sick of this. I'm going to create my own workshop where I'm going to bring in 100 agents at a time, and we're going to implement. We're not going to sit there and talk about it. We're not going to have a lecture about it, an hour long. Oh, you should, you would, or you. We're actually going to sit there with our computers and implement. And that's why I'm so glad you guys are there, because it's one thing to hear them talk about document retrieval and data acquisition and all this other stuff. Then they go back and go, ooh, that was cool. But you're actually going to be there showing them, look, log in, let me show you how to do this with a real customer, with real people. So I'm really, really honored that you guys are first participating, but second of all, that you're on the ground showing agents how to get it done.
Well, it goes both ways, because when you and I started talking and we met and you explained to me how you run the conference, the event, I realized, we want to be there because that's what we usually don't get to do at a conference, right? That's usually you go there, you have a small conversation, and we know that when people understand and can see how Indio works in their workflows, it becomes very obvious where the inefficiencies are gained and how the customer experience is improved. So we're honored to be there because now it's an opportunity for us to actually show how it works in their lives, in a broker and agent's life. And that's not necessarily how, most conference and events are structured. So a credit to you, and thank you for having us. And we're excited because it's really the right platform for how people can learn, and walk away with real value.
Yeah, I love when people come to our workshops and they walk away and they go, oh my God, I got more done in 2 days than I had in the previous year of going to all of these different conferences. And I'm not knocking the conferences.
Sure.
It's just not a workshop. It's not a hands-on implementation workshop. But now what you're going to see, Ken, you guys are going to get a lot of opportunities, because like anything, when someone comes up with something great, everyone else is like, well, hey, why don't I do that? So I'm sure you're going to see a lot less of the, hey, just show up and walk around with a plastic bag, and you're going to see more of the, let's sit down and let's get to the meat and potatoes of this. And that's good. That's good for the industry. Okay.
And bringing the right people in a room, right? If you get a bunch of people in a room together who actually want to improve and make change for the better and are committed to it, and they've built an agency around that commitment, and they lead their teams with that type of initiative and vision, then great things happen, because collaboration of people of that type, things are created. And so to be in that room with those type of people and personalities, I think is probably going to be pretty energizing and pretty powerful.
Good. All right. So how hard is it to onboard Indio?
Yeah, we've really built a lot around that. That's been a huge focus for us. And I would say that's probably a huge credit to our success and why we've been able to grow very quickly, is because we've invested in learning how brokers and agents work today and how Indio is embedded in their current workflows, rather than saying, you need to change everything. You say, here you might change little things, but it's a piece of how your operation already works, and we're just going to clean it up and help make your life easier. And so from an onboarding perspective, when a new Indio customer, a new agency comes on board, they're assigned a dedicated implementation manager, and they're also assigned a dedicated customer success manager. Implementation manager is there to work and, as it sounds, help implement. I believe it's about a 30 to 45 day plan. And the customer success manager is there to help guide, answer questions, really work, help train. And so that 30 to 45 day plan is really about setting up training, learning more about your broker and agency before we start telling you how to use Indio, so that we can actually figure out where Indio plugs in. And I think if we were talking to one of the members from that department on our team, they would tell you it starts with kind of a desired outcome, right?
Okay.
What is your desired outcome as a brokerage and agency? Because it might be a little different than the one across the street, because they all work very different. And so, or they have different focuses, right? One brokerage may be very focused on transportation, and that operation is going to look different than a brokerage that is focused on personal lines. And so you have to understand what the desired outcome is, and everything that we do is structured. Our team is trained around that. And that's what it looks like, this 30 to 45 day implementation process for reaching a desired outcome.
Okay, excellent, excellent. So my next question to you is going to be kind of, well, I won't say off, but it's something that's important to us as agents and brokers, and I'm sure you have some kind of feedback to this. Number one, Accord.
Yes.
Accord has made all these changes. Now we have to buy a subscription, and we got to do all this. How does that affect Indio?
Yeah, it does not affect Indio in any way. Indio has now been has merged and become a partner with Applied Systems, and Applied and Indio are all under that Accord system. So everything that is in and available within Indio fits within that Accord compliance regulation, whatever you want to call it. So if you're using Indio and you're using the Indio's applications, the Accords within Indio, then Indio is covered and fine. And I think that goes to say about the acquisition with Applied is that we now just have a lot more resources. The point is, we're still very much a solution for any brokerage across, or any AMS and BMS across the market. So you don't need to be using any Applied software. But that's an example of kind of the resources and firepower we have, so that you as a brokerage are taken care of going forward. And that the example of the Accord is just one example of that.
Good. Excellent. Excellent. All right. So let's get personal here for a second.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So I know
All
about
right.
your products. I know Indio is amazing. Agents are going to see it when they're in the Fix My Insurance Agency workshop. You guys are going to walk them hands-on through everything. That's awesome.
Yep.
So tell us a couple of interesting tidbits about you. I know you already told me you're an entrepreneur. I don't know if you're a serial entrepreneur, but I know you're an entrepreneur. Tell me some more tidbits about you.
Yeah. Well, I've started businesses myself, and I've worked at businesses, but I always have a entrepreneurial mindset. So like I said, when I came on board and joined Mike to help build Indio, it was very much, I didn't necessarily found the company, but we were young and I was able to help grow it. And that's what I look for, is growth opportunities. And I think what's maybe some people find that's unique about me, I wish it wasn't as unique, is I kind of structure my life around that. I would say I have a consistent pursuit of optimizing for improvement and growth. And it's not just in career, it's also in personal life. And so there's things that I'm always trying to assess of how to become more efficient, how to become a better person. And I think that's probably why I've gravitated towards entrepreneurial type of ventures, because it gives you a real opportunity to really kind of optimize and improve things, rather than just sticking to the status quo and doing things because that's the way they've always been done. And so I think that's kind of a motto for me, or kind of a MO for how I, approach the day.
You know what? Right before this call, I was on with one of my mentoring members, and they're getting ready to hire new staff. And so usually if it's a really close-knit mentoring member, like we've been a member a long time, I'll interview their staff. I'll do it for them, because a lot of times they're just not good at interviewing, right?
Sure.
but I always look for the same mentality. I want a salesperson. So we had a disagreement about this person because they wanted to hire, and I'm like, no, that's a bad hire. They're a service person, not a salesperson. I
Mhm.
can build any agency if you give me a bunch of salespeople, but I can't grow an agency with a bunch of service people.
Sure.
Okay? I can't do it. So if I'm trying to maintain an agency, give me all the service people you want. They'll take my orders, they'll answer the phone, they'll do whatever I want. But if I'm trying to grow an agency, I need a sales minded person, even if they're in a service role, even if they're in a retention role, even if they're in a marketing role. I need a sales minded person. So, what you were just saying about you being an entrepreneur is why you're so good at this, is because you're not looking at the service part. That's, you're leaving that to the people who are service people. Your thing is optimizing efficiency and growth, right? That's what you always go after. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just how I approach uh, life to a degree. So to do it in the professional setting is just another area. It's kind of how I approach a challenge, right? You
Mm-hmm.
can look at things from a lot of different lenses, from a lot of different perspectives. If you can tap into one of looking at any type of challenge as where is the growth opportunity, because there is a growth opportunity that lies beneath everything. Sometimes you just have to pull back a lot of layers. And so that to me is a really fun challenge to take on. And so that's why, professionally speaking, I probably gravitated towards that. To speak to your hiring mention, I think that also from a very soft skill is this component that I just say in simplest words is caring, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you care about something beyond your paycheck, uh, and sometimes it's rooted in reputation, sometimes it's whatever it's rooted in. But if you care about something, then what I find is that will often propel you to find greater value than whatever you're getting in the current moment. And so I think in hiring specifically, once you get past that minimum viable need, maybe
Mm-hmm.
they need some technical skill sets that you just have to have. You can't invest in the learning curve of those things. Once you get past that, to me, the focus then shifts. Do they have that caring gene? Because
Mm-hmm.
that's going to propel them from where they are today to that next level.
The thing about a sales mentality, a salesperson always wants to provide you with something that's going to make your quality of life better. You know what I mean? We're
Right.
not we're
Right.
not happy with you being average.
Right.
We want to put you in a position where you're better than you were when you walked through this door. And service people tend to just keep you wherever you are. They just want to keep you happy. Where a salesperson is, well, I want to keep you happy, but I see an opportunity where I can make you better. And
Yes.
that's the mentality I'm looking for. Make you better in the insurance industry could mean giving you a product or service that's going to protect your family better. It could mean offering you more life insurance because you now have a promotion. It could mean making sure your company has loss of income, so if something were to happen to you, your family's not hurt. We're always looking to make people better than they were when they walked through the door. And that's the mentality I want in a sales agent. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I 100% agree. And I think it's one of the beautiful things of the industry that we're in, and sometimes and often gets overlooked, right? And so when you come back to moving away from a service mentality and a growth and sales mentality, it's because uh, from a vision, or again going back to how you perceive something, the lens you look through, you can take one approach or the other. And if you take the approach and you build your whole organization around it, and it permeates and it feeds there, someone talking to you can get that energy from you, that you are here to help them rather than service them. That's when I think you kind of see, again, it's a soft thing. We can talk about the technical stuff like in Indio and how that helps, but that's the soft stuff that still is going to also separate you. Then just empower you to have tools like
Yes.
Indio. Then you're untouchable.
You just said something very key. Technology should empower and enhance your processes,
Right.
empower and enhance your workflow and your culture. A lot of
Right.
people don't realize that. Technology can help to create a culture that isn't there, but it should also enhance the culture that you have in your agency, not just be there for the sake of being there.
Absolutely. And when we were talking about the onboarding process, that's kind of how we've built around it. We can use terms like implementation and training, but it's really about how does it empower the operation you have today, empower your team, get more productivity out of your team. If you want to go back to numbers, how do you get more revenue per employee, right? And so it's all about empowering them so that they can accomplish more and not do it with adding more hours. So yeah, I absolutely agree.
Good, good. All right. So what book are you currently reading or listening to?
I just completed a book by Ray Dalio called Principles.
I read that.
I had a feeling you probably did. And for those who don't know, he's the founder of the largest hedge fund in the world. Maybe that bothers people because maybe people think of hedge funds as, being a reputation of what's wrong. But if you really look into him and his principles, and there's probably no coincidence that he named his book that, you realize that his growth was rooted in a philosophy. And so that's what the book covers. And I think it can be applied to anyone. You don't need to, you don't even need to be an entrepreneur trying to build the biggest hedge fund in the world. You can be someone who is trying to grow your book of business, and you're still an employee somewhere. So that that was very, I just finished that. And that was a book that I will be recommending to a lot of people for a long time.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, that's an excellent book. All of those. Have you read Habits or The Power of Habits?
I don't think so, but it sounds very familiar. Who's the author of that?
You know what? If you hadn't asked me, I could have just told you right off the top of my head. You know how that goes. But I probably have it here. Let me look behind on my bookshelf. I probably have it just sitting here somewhere. I don't see it. I probably have it on audio book. That's why.
Sure.
Yeah, but it's called The Power of Habits. It's an absolutely amazing book. Amazing book. All right. So what was the latest mobile app that you downloaded?
Mobile app. I've recently downloaded an app called Robinhood. For those who aren't familiar, it's a way to get involved in the stock market. So not necessarily a productivity tool, but the thing that I like about it is it's user friendly. So it kind of plays into like the Indio way as well of things where you've taken something that was complex, right? For me as the end user, I'm not a stock trader. I look for proxies to tell me how to make things, to play things better. And so it made the concept of analyzing the market and buying and selling some stocks. It took a complex thing and it made it really simple, really user friendly from an app perspective, and allows me to play around. It's for fun, play around with buying and selling some stocks. But I think the takeaway is kind of how easy it is to use. The concept of taking something that's complex and figuring out a way to simplify it so that it's easier for everybody involved. And I think it kind of relates to insurance in a way, even though when I downloaded it, it was really just more for my own personal use.
Okay, excellent, excellent. So what app, service, or tool can you not live without? I know Zoom is one of them, but what other app, service, or tool can you not live without?
Slack, which I think is probably a common theme these days.
I'm getting the same way. I just got onto Slack maybe a year ago, and I really started getting into it 6 months ago. But then once I started putting all my partners on it, and I had a channel for each of my 160 plus partners, and I could deal directly with the operations managers, now I can't live without it. Can't live without it.
If you think about time, how much time is spent communicating and the value of communication, right? When you have a conversation, what is on the line in that conversation to ensure that things result in the end goal? Right. And I think Slack has figured out a way to organize conversations in an efficient way. And if that's the case, then outcomes from conversations that you want, your desired outcome happens more often, and it's done in a more streamlined, efficient manner. So to me, that's, if you have an organization, it could be, I've heard of large families, that are very, very communicative with each other. Large families, I mean, they have a Slack because it keeps them in touch and allows them to organize, a reunion, a trip. So I would recommend someone look at that and be open-minded to it. It's obviously going to be structured a little different than email. It doesn't replace email, but you find a purpose, and I think you see a real huge benefit from it.
Well, the first time I ever used Slack was because my daughter's volleyball coach was like, okay, parents, we're using Slack to communicate all of our tournaments, all of our travel, all of our whatever. And it blew me away how simple and easy it was. But again, from a business standpoint, I'm like, oh my God, I have to have email. I have to have this. I have to have that. How do I track this? How do I keep up with that? And then I discovered Zapier. And once I discovered Zapier and Slack and Zapier worked together, and I could actually, and then I discovered bots, how to actually create a bot to go out and pull something. And now if someone sends me something and I'm not sure, I can have my bot go out and pull it from a Google Drive or pull it from Outlook or pull it from Wufoo or pull it from wherever and pull it into Slack. And it's like, oh, now it's like the best thing since sliced bread. I mean, it's your mind that stops the creativity when it comes to Slack and the tools that it integrates with.
I'll give you a quick example that I think that a broker, an agency could probably find a way to use it in a similar way. At Indio, if somebody comes in and requests a demo, right? They actually came in and requested a demo. It will notify through Slack instantly to our team and go to the right person who should be following up. So that way, right now, you're saying, I'm interested in learning about Indio, and we are telling someone on our team right away, hey, you need to get a hold of this person. So we are decreasing the amount of time that you need to wait. And then on the other side of it, if somebody comes through and that's already a customer and they have something they need, it can notify our team members instantly through Slack who are assigned to service and take care of that client so that they can get back right away. And so you can think about how that could be beneficial for an agency is people putting in quote requests to find a way to have Slack notifications. If people are putting in complaints, reviews, whatever, there's ways that you can do that. And that's going back to what we said, using technology to empower and gain, gain efficiencies.
And that's part of what we're going to teach at the Fix My Insurance Agency workshop is we're actually going to walk through and set up, especially for these multiple office agencies, how to use Slack to tie all those agencies together, those multiple offices, and pull in all of that data you're talking about. So we're gonna spend like 2 hours on nothing but Slack and how it works within our workflow. So that'll be good. You can help show us some stuff on that as well.
Absolutely.
Okay, now I got about 2 minutes. I got to get out of here.
All right.
So how can someone interested in Indio get in contact with you or Indio in general?
The easiest way is to go to Indio's website, which is useindio.com.
Useindio.com, not Indio.com, because I fumbled with that for a minute. It's useindio.com.
Yes. USEINDIO.com. Useindio.com. And the reason why that is the easiest place is because the example I just gave you with the Slack. We will be notified right away, and you will be talking to the right person who is skilled at talking to you and understanding, how your brokerage and agency works. If you were to email somebody, you might wait, right? You might end up you might fall down, you might get missed. So I always say that's your quickest way, because it's going to the next person that can get on the phone and actually knows what they're talking about and help you right away.
So you've got your form on Indio linked to Slack or some other tool that's going to feed into Slack. Love it.
We have it linked to do a couple things because it's so important that we get a hold of you. That there's several notifications that go out across our team, and also, I think there's a question on the form that says, how did you hear about us or something like that? Are you part of an association? So there's some information there so that when we get on the phone, we're not necessarily wasting all your time, with things that we can just jump right into it.
So and I'm going to end it with this. Slack, if you use it right, is almost like a message tree used to be with the phone. Press 1 for this, press 2 for this, press 3 for this. But now we can automate that. So if someone says, yes. Like on our form, we have, would you like someone from Inspire Nation to contact you? And we go, yes. And then we say, did you find out about us on this or this or this? And then they say yes. That automatically triggers a workflow that directs them to the right person in the right geographic location.
And you can log that.
Yes.
You as a brokerage, you can log that information, so you can go 3 months down the line, do a quick little report and audit and say, oh, wow, we're getting a high volume from here and a low volume from here. And then that's another room to optimize or reallocate resources in different directions. So
right.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is not a Slack conversation. This is an Indio conversation, but Indio utilizes Slack, and the same efficiencies are working in Indio.
Very much.
Ken, thank you so much for your time today. I absolutely appreciate the time you took to spend with us and help us out, help us understand a little bit more about Indio. I'm excited to have you guys at the Fix My Insurance Agency workshop. So we go to useindio.com, and that'll tell us everything we need. And that's how we get in touch with you guys, right?
Yeah, that's correct. And thank you for having us. Thank you for having us at the conference. I'll be there personally, so hoping to meet many people, and we can walk through Indio and anything else.
Okay, that sounds great. Sounds great. Let me go ahead and get this recording over with, and I will talk to you later, sir.
All right.